Coming up, Tom Trbojevic adds Try of the Year to his many accolades, Catalan claimed the league leader's shield, and the NRL finals kick off with blockbusters galore. Yes, hello, and welcome back to the Sideline Chat podcast, our one-stop shop for rugby league. Along with Mark Hendry, I'm Connor Marcellis, and today, in our first instalment for the week, we bring you your NRL Round 25 and Finals Week 1 debrief. Can you imagine we've now reached this point? I might have said it a couple of times in the past, but here we are. September, first week of the finals.
We're finally here, and finals are literally a couple of days away, and I am so pumped to see who comes out on top in the upcoming blockbuster matches.
We started off with 16 teams, but we're now down to the final 8. But before we get into any finals preview, we got one job we have to do, and that's to cover everything from round 25. And we start off with that. The Canberra Raiders going down to the Sydney Roosters, 40 points to 16. This was a game that the Raiders had to have won in order to squeak into the top 8.
Yeah, they kind of had to. It looked like they were in a bit of control for the first little bit of the match, but the Roosters, as good as they have been with the lineup as best as they can be, came through and absolutely smashed them.
Well, you make the point perfectly. The Raiders scored first, and within 20 minutes, the scores are locked up at 12 all essentially, but then the Roosters just went on the blitz.
Yeah, I kind of knew that was going to happen with the Roosters, though, trying to get some sort of form heading into the finals. And with the Raiders, that was a must-win game and paid off.
The kicks going out to the left-hand side. I mean, you looked at it, I think, with both Lamb and Hutchinson. The strategy was, we'll just try and kick the Tupou, and they ended up finding Adam Kieran most of the time as well.
Yeah, Adam Kieran, he had a blind every game, I reckon.
Well,
he was outstanding.
Oh, yeah. He was. For me, he was the outstanding player. 3 tries, 107 running meters, 5 tackle breaks, and 6 from 9 goals converted. Well, debatable that 6. Could it really be 5 from 9?
Well, yeah, this is where I feel the ball should be a different colour to the goalposts. So we can definitely get a correct answer.
But that's the problem. What colour? Because if you choose any other different colour for the football, it's going to blend in with someone's kit. If it's black, Penrith can disguise it. Purple, Mel will sneak it up the shirt easily.
Not if it's yellow like they used to use in the NYC.
Or brown leather ball. Well, maybe not brown leather, but throw back to the Winfield Cup days of the brown ball.
Yeah, that would work too.
Work out. And then announcing 2022, the Penrith Panthers will revise their chocolate soldier uniform for the 2022 season.
Yeah, then they'll throw everything into madness.
Oh, but just... Did he even convert that? Because you see the front-on angle from behind the goal kicker, and he missed it. But then you look at it from the reverse angle, from the perspective of the touch judges, that ball goes in.
Yeah, optical illusion, that's what everyone's calling it.
Definitely optical illusion, all right. Optically illusion 2 points right there.
I don't think it would have made a difference to the result, even if he did or didn't get it, to be completely honest with you. Excuse me. As you mentioned, from the reverse angle, it looked like when he went from the front-on angle, it looked like he missed it, so I honestly don't know.
I suppose this summarises 2 things. The first, the disappointing season that the Canberra Raiders had, the opportunity for a 3rd straight finals appearance, that went horribly wrong. I mean, we already knew that the Raiders had an uphill battle after losing John Bateman. Then George Williams compounds things, and then it just falls apart midway through.
Yeah.
And on the Roosters' part as well, the fact that they were whiskers away from the top 4, when you literally had $4.5 million, was it estimated $4.5 million?
I heard $6 million.
Hanging up the boots, going to hang up the boots, or injured for the whole season, sitting on the sideline, or sitting up in the coach's box.
Yeah, I had estimated $6 million. There you go. But and to make the playoffs or finals, they're always going to be in it, but they just missed out on the top four. But still, making the finals with the amount of injuries and suspensions, etc., that they've had that we've mentioned all year is unbelievable.
It definitely is. And that's what the Raiders should have had. They should have dealt with that adversity much better, like the Roosters did. But they simply didn't, and they've just been outclassed again.
Yeah. Look,
And it's disappointing because we want to see the Raiders do well, but they're just not coming to the table with it.
well, no, not for the 2021 season. No, let's hope they turn things around for the following season.
Well, they need to start with getting a better halfback and maybe making some tough calls.
Yeah, maybe. Have to see what this off-season brings for them.
Well, there's all questions at the moment. Is Jared Croker staying or going? Is Josh Hodgson? Is Sticky under pressure? Is he going to get the sack? Well, not if he throws a couple of chairs at them.
I don't think Sticky will get the sack. Put it that way.
You sure?
Yeah. He's got pressure on him, but I don't think he's under that much pressure compared to other coaches in the league.
So you're thinking that unlike Trent Barrett or Kevin Walters, Ricky, despite finishing 10th, his position's safe?
Somewhat. I reckon maybe give it half a year next year and see what happens.
So you're giving them 12 rounds. All right.
Yep.
Tick-tock for you Raiders fans then.
Yep.
Gotta make the call. Now, moving on to Friday night, the Melbourne Storm playing away to the Cronulla Sharks on the Gold Coast, which totally would have sounded bonkers any other year, but because it's this year and last year, anything could be completely possible. But anyway, Melbourne running out over the Sharks 28-16, but the Sharks made a game of it in the first half.
They certainly did, and I thought the Sharks were on for a massive upset for this game.
That was the talk. That was honestly the talk heading into this game because no Addo-Carr, no Munster, no Remus Smith because they decided to rest him as well. None of the Bromwich boys played.
No, there was also no. Who else was out? There was a heap of big name players out that Craig Bellamy decided to rest.
No Kafusi, either. Tapai Maroa getting another crack.
Yeah. It was unbelievable. And they still managed to pull it off and claim the minor premiership again.
Yeah, because that was the thing. If they lost and the Panthers won, Melbourne would have dropped to second. But the Sharks, things went wrong for them in the second half. Let's just put it that way.
It certainly did, and they were locked up with Melbourne at the halftime break. And I thought, oh, this is going to be a really good game coming in the second half.
And then Marion Seve just pours ultimate cold water on the top of it.
Yes.
I mean, it starts with Seve, and it ends with Ryan Pappenhausen.
Yes.
I mean, how good did Pappenhausen play in that game?
Mate, I think his game on the weekend against the Sharks was the best his best game he has played since he's come back from concussion.
And it's probably timing it at the right time as well. Oh, given that the finals are literally this Friday.
Yeah. Look, Pappenhausen with 3 tries, that definitely said that.
And 14 tackle breaks as well. So.
Yeah, he's definitely putting his name back out there and saying, I'm back.
Oh, he's definitely back all right. I mean, everyone would have thought, oh, he's not the same player he was after he came back from all those concussion issues. But if you had any doubts of whether he could come back, this game would definitely tell you otherwise.
Yeah, look, I didn't have any doubt that I knew he was going to come back to his best and before the finals, and he's done it just at the right time.
He definitely has, and he's going to make the fullback of the year award very interesting indeed. But I think we all know which way that is going. But we'll get more on that later. As for the Sharks, that's Josh Hanne's tenure over. Again.
Yes, again. And they needed to win that one too, because they would have been watching the Canberra game. And with Canberra losing, they needed to win
They would have
against
stayed in the
Melbourne.
top 8. They would have locked away a top 8 spot if the Sharks did actually upset Melbourne.
Yes. But that didn't happen. So,
But the fact that Hannay came in after the bitter way that John Morris was sacked as the Sharks head coach, he came in, they went terrible for the first couple of rounds underneath him, and then he's kept them in touch for probably an unlikely finals berth.
yeah, they certainly did. And I think a player that stepped up a lot to help that cause was Braden Trindle. With the inconsistent half partners he had, Trindle did step up a bit, and as well did Connor Tracy. He stepped up big time as well to help that.
I definitely think that there is a lot of promise around what the Sharks are building for next year and the personnel they are bringing in as well. But for now, it's just, this is actually the first time, and I think they said about 10 years, that they've missed the finals.
Wow. And in those 10 years, they won a grand final, so...
And finished top 4 on a couple of occasions. Now, speaking of those that have finished top 4, the Penrith Panthers getting up over the top of the Parramatta Eels' second string side, 40 points to 6. This is what we expected coming, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, when you looked at the Parramatta side, they had Moses out, Brown out, Gutherson out, a lot of other players out. We knew that, and Penrith at full strength, we knew there was going to be an absolute blowout.
I mean, I will say this about the Eels. They didn't give up straight away. I mean, 12-6 at half-time. It was only Pangai Jr. for the second time in his second game scores a try right before or leading up to the half-time break. 2 tries in 2 games he's played for the Licorice Men.
Yes. And he's done a superb job for him. And it sucks that he's leaving Penrith.
Well, it doesn't suck for me.
Well,
I see the upside in all of this.
Well, yeah. It sucks for Penrith because they're losing you could say temporary player.
It was only a short-term agreement. He wasn't going to stay for long. He's probably going to go deep into the finals with them, and then he's going to come into us. He's probably thinking, why did I leave the good side for the basket case, but at the same time, I'm going to get a starting side at the basket case, and I could probably make them a better side. So
I was going to say, with his performances in the 2 games to play for Penrith, something looking forward to for the Dogs.
Another player that I think shone very well, and once again, the Panthers' left edge was, you could say it was absolutely singing the way key members on that edge were playing, and Brian To'o was definitely one of them. 3 tries, 1 try assist, 243 running meters, and 10 tackle breaks. It just looked too easy for Penrith at stages in that game.
Yeah, it certainly did, and To'o is an absolute freak. Like, seriously. He's a couple games back from injury and he does that. Like, come on. Not many players come back and go back to where they were before they got injured.
And like I said, Parramatta were fielding an under-strength side because they were They made the strategic move to rest all their big guns ahead of the finals, because we all know what happened to the Eels last year with the injuries in the qualifier and then the semi-final losses when they finished 3rd. So they were playing the long game here, but that intensity was still there for them early on.
It certainly was, and they just couldn't quite carry through with it all for the rest of the match.
So I think we'll see who really reaps the rewards, because I made this point last week. Who would you rather face in the finals? A flat Panther side with all their combinations working, or a fresh Eels side that made the tough call to sacrifice a top 4 finish to go on a run in the final series? I know which side I'd rather face.
Yeah, so do I.
A flat Panther side rather than a fresh Eels.
Yeah.
It could make all the difference.
It could. You just never know what's going to happen in the finals.
No, certainly not. Or right before either. As with this game, the Brisbane Broncos getting their final win of the season at home, downing the finals-bound Knights 35-22. I watched this game. I saw this game, and I was thinking, what the hell is Newcastle doing? What was that?
Yeah, it was not a performance that they needed coming into the finals, but in a way, it might work out well for them in a way, because teams, well, besides the top teams, if you have a loss coming to the finals, it's kind of a good thing because it breaks up that winning streak. But for a side like the Knights, they kind of needed that winning streak going on.
It's momentum.
If that
It's
makes
all about
sense.
momentum into the finals.
Yes. But
I mean, the Knights' right edge again, and in that period from the 14th down to the 42nd minute, so you could almost say a half an hour window here, 28 minutes, either side of the break, the left edge of the Broncos just tore them up.
yeah, the Broncos are having a brilliant game to send out not only Alex Glenn, but Anthony Milford as well.
Well, Anthony Milford played outstanding again, and I think this will piss off a lot of Broncos supporters because one, they'll be saying, why didn't he play like this over the last 3 years? And two, we're letting him go to South Sydney, so if he continues playing like this, we'll be kicking ourselves. But at the same time, they're probably thinking, thirdly, thank God we got his $1 million wiped off the salary cap.
Well, yeah, that too. But he had an outstanding game, Anthony Milford.
One try assist, 239 running meters, and 4 tackle breaks. The Knights, and they too decided to rest key players, as like Jayden Brayley, like Jacob Saifiti, Mitch Barnett, and Heimel Hunt, and it just backfired on them.
And it also brought Ponder and Pearce off at the 45th minute too.
Oh,
and back
right.
with Milford,
they were on the interchange, and for the last little bit, and that's where it went downhill.
Yeah, and also Milford did get that field goal to send off, to say as a farewell gift. Here's an extra point. This is the last kick that I'm going to do for the Broncos.
Bow out on a high note.
Yes.
I think that's the same story with Alex Glenn as well. He gets to bow out as the Broncos captain at home in front of a crowd after a victory. I think that's all you could ever really ask for. Not many players get that opportunity to bow out in front of the home crowd. I mean, Paul Gallen didn't get that opportunity. Cameron Smith didn't, although he did it in the grand final, so it's not really the same thing. Robbie Farah never got that opportunity.
Which club? Tigers or South Sydney?
At the Tigers.
Or both. Yeah.
Benji won't get that. With the whispers going around that he's expected to retire at the end of this year.
Yes.
And so, for one of the Broncos' most consistent performers, one of the Mr. Reliables, in a team that's got a whole crop of young superstar talent building there, it was a nice touch.
It definitely was. And you have to look at the try scorers. How many of those were the most senior players in that squad?
Corey Oates would have been the only one.
And Anthony Milford were the only 2 experienced players at that.
Then you got Farnworth, Selwyn Cobbo with a long-range intercept try. Just talk about trying to force the issue. I think, was it Kurt Mann playing on the same side with Bradman Best? Tries to throw a cut pass, and then just Cobbo picks it out, and he runs 80 meters to score.
Yeah, and no one even stopped him or came close to him. Then you also got like Tessie Neal and Kobe Hetherington too, 2 other young blokes that scored tries. So they're in good. It may sound dumb after a horrible season for the Broncos, but they're in good hands, I think, with all these young blokes coming through.
Well, I think anything above 16th would have been an achievement for Kevin Walters. First head coaching gig in 11 years is after his 2-year stint at the Catalan Dragons, where he got ousted for Trent Robinson after that. And Catalan fans will probably tell you how well he did. But to come back in after 11 years, and of course we all saw how well the Broncos played the last 2 or so months. And the last 8 games, the Broncos have been much improved from the early 8 rounds. And you got to think of who they've got coming in. They got Adam Reynolds coming in. That's the big one. They got Kurt Capewell coming in. So that's another Origin edge forward that will be Alex Glenn's immediate replacement.
Yes.
You got Jordan Pereira coming in. So if Oates doesn't stick around, you got a very capable winger who fell out of favour at St George Illawarra.
Yes.
And you got a couple of other handy, rugged middle forwards and some young guns in there as well.
And it sounds like Kevin Walters' son, Billy Walters, could be heading up there too.
Oh, there's been whispers about that for months. I just don't think they've officially announced it yet. Like Pereira.
No, they haven't. Well, put it this way, Billy Walters is officially left the Tigers, so it's pretty much all but confirmed now, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that you'll find that the top 8 for next year, it's going to look, I think it'll be very difficult to predict next year, but at the end of the day, it's got to be predicted, and we will get to that soon. But that's something for a couple of months away, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but no, good signs for the Broncos. As for the Knights, I don't know how they bounce back when they get time, but again.
Yeah, we had to wait and see with the Knights, and like that loss, they really did need it. They needed that win. I don't know how they're going to go in the finals now. We just have to wait and see.
Well, the top 4 got solidified on Saturday night as the Manly Sea Eagles saw off a North Queensland Cowboys challenge, 46 points to 18. The Cowboys stuck it to Manly for probably the first hour, and then they just fell off a cliff.
Yes, they certainly did. And Manly, there again, John Tavorovich in the backline, Saab, Garrick, Cherry Evans, and the likes.
With Ben Condon scoring, because I did see, because I thought it was knocked on or it was knocked dead by Manly, but that was just crazy, the lead up to that try.
Yeah, it was absolutely nuts. Even John Tavorovich's try on full time was even crazier than that.
Oh, God. What was it? 110 metres. It's like,
thereabouts.
The siren had sounded.
Yeah.
And it's just like, feck it. Let's go. Lay me the field.
Yeah, started off with Garrick in the in goal, out of it, past the Cherry Evans, who ran downfield, put a kick in, and who was there? Tommy Turbo put the boy down to seal off a magnificent team effort length in the field try. It was unbelievable.
That's got to be try of the year right there.
I'd say so. If it's not, there's something wrong with the selectors.
I think, and it also has to be known, I think, despite the performances of Nathan Cleary and James Tedesco, what Tom Trbojevic has done since coming back into this Manly side back in round 6, Dalian Player of the Year.
Yeah.
No arguments.
Yeah.
I try and look for Manly's best player, but once again, it is Tom Trbojevic.
Yeah.
3 tries, 2 try assists, one of them being for his brother Jake, 302 run meters, and 19 tackle breaks. Is he cyborg or is he man? Man or machine? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Is Tom Trbojevic a man or is he a machine?
I'd say he's a machine. And I have to give Tom Trbojevic great credit for letting his brother Jake score, because Tom Trbojevic could have easily scored himself, but he decided to offload to his brother.
I definitely could. He could have hogged all the glory, as usual, as he has done in the past.
And still managed to do so.
I'll give the brother a little bit of love.
Yeah.
He doesn't score tries that often, so if I can just set him up, put him in the space, let him crash over at close range.
Yeah, that was well done there. And look, Manly were just absolutely on top, and they were flying.
The Cowboys tried to force the issue at certain points, of course, bagging the opening try to the hammer. But since that point, Manly just stepped up, took charge at the break, and really, after Ben Condon scored that try, the Cowboys just didn't recover after that.
No, and considering they won against the Dragons a week prior, they would be full of confidence, thinking, oh, here we go, last game of the match, I know it's a tough opposition, but we could still give them a bit of a run for their money, considering we just come off a win. But, like you said, after Ben Condon's
and it just turned to a blowout. It ultimately turned to a blowout. In
Yeah.
the final 11 minutes, Garrick scores in the corner, Cherry Evans goes over, and Tom Trbojevic completes his hat-trick, including that length of the field thriller.
Yeah. The Cowboys were really going to be having a good season review. And I think I read somewhere or saw somewhere that Todd Payton is under a bit of pressure as well. Which
Well,
I
finishing
think
15th in his first season as a full-time head coach,
I
that's
find
not a good start.
well, no, but I find that's a bit unfair as well. With Todd Payton being under pressure. First year, like I said, as a full-time coach and at a new club, you had to give it if I say by the end of next year they finish down in the bottom four again, then yeah, I understand, but not in the first year. It's a bit harsh.
Well, if it's a big club like in Queensland, if it's a club like the Cowboys that for the longest time had success both in the finals and winning the premiership, there would be that weight of expectation of trying to bring some silverware back to North Queensland.
True. But, well, who knows? Things might change next year with Tad Townsend heading there, so that could play a big difference.
Well, it's sayonara to Tom Dearden, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Despite his best efforts, that 10-game losing run, including the fact that he hadn't won a game since round 3, either for the Broncos or for the Cowboys, got that one win against the Dragons, and then got pelted by Manly. It's Drinkwater and Townsend that are going to start in the halves.
Yeah. It's been guaranteed that for a long time.
No questions.
Yeah, no questions answered there.
Now, up to the Sunshine Coast, and the Rabbitohs, also fielding a B team side, overcame the St. George Illawarra Dragons 20 points to 16.
Yes. Yes. It was a Rabbitohs B team. It was a Rabbitohs B team. It was still good, managed to bloody beat them. What is wrong with us?
Well, apparently you're letting Tarek Sims walk, so I think that is a very good segue into that.
Yeah, well, that's not a good sign. Tarek Sims leaving.
Another superb St. George manoeuvre. Let one of your best players walk out the door before his contract's up.
Yep. Yep, another one. Another one. Anyway.
Yeah, just trying to distract from the fact of the matter.
The funny thing is, the Dragons said to click into gear when Josh McGowan was put in the sin bin.
Oh,
now, come on.
Oh, that is shade. That is shade right there.
Like, the Dragons scored 2 tries in the time that McGuire was gone in the bin for. And both of them were Tyrell Sloan. Like, come on. You think we'll click it again when it's 13 on 13, not when it's 13 against 12? Like, seriously.
Oh, damn.
And I thought with the comeback, oh, here we go, especially with Tyrell Sloan's second try. I thought, oh, we've still got a chance. And then when Ravalawa scored with 2 minutes to go, I was like, nah, that's it. But it made the scoreline look a bit more promising than what it was.
The Rabbitohs shot out to an early lead, and of course, this was going to be a big test for Lachlan Ilias, coming in, first time at halfback, Benji Marshall playing next to him. What says a better way to start than scoring a try on your debut game in the NRL? Yeah,
I'm going to say it again. Another debut player is scoring in his debut game. How many times did that happen this season?
Well, Tyro Sloan, didn't he score on debut?
I think so. Not just between these two clubs, but across the entire competition.
I think Matt Fierney also scored in debut.
Yeah, there's been a heap of them this season.
What about... Oh, no, Reece Walsh, I know, set up a couple of tries on his debut for the Warriors.
He did, but...
And Walker did the same as well for the Roosters.
Yeah, so... The amount of
people... Taft, didn't he also score on debut as well?
I think so, and Sawali nearly did, but he scored on his second game, so...
Yeah, he had 2 tries on his second game.
Yeah.
He made up for not scoring the first time round.
Yeah, so there's been a heap that's been close or have scored on their debut games this season across the comp, which I think is a record, but it shows that there's a lot of young talent coming through.
And even with the talent that was present in that South Sydney lineup, I think Campbell Graham, for me, I think he played his best game all year. Because I still think he's one of the Rabbitohs' better wingers, but they got him out at the centres. But still, 2 tries, 173 running meters, and 3 tackle breaks in a very inexperienced lineup for the Bunnies.
It's
I
just,
think that was a good knock.
it was a very great game. He was in pretty much in the whole match. Like he was here, there, everywhere kind of thing, I think, or he was involved in a lot of things during that match. And good on him. He's a up and rising star for South Sydney and a permanent starter for sure.
And of course, Blake Taft, we've got to touch back on him again. And playing at fullback with no Latrell Mitchell, how would you rate his performance against the Dragons?
Look, he had very big shoes to fill, don't get me wrong, because of what Latrell Mitchell has done for that number 1 jersey. Like he did against the Cowboys up in Newcastle earlier this year, he put on a pretty good performance. He was involved a fair bit throughout the game and he did really well.
Goal kicking would definitely need some improvement, as he only struck 2 from 5, all up. Conversions and penalty goals factored in. But the good news is for him, because he's going to be there again for South in the first week of the finals. But the good news is Adam Reynolds will be back, so that's a lot of pressure off him.
Look, I'm surprised Benji Marshall did a goal kicking as well, as he's obviously had a lot more experience than what Blake Taft has, but South obviously went with Taft more than Marshall.
Yeah, it's a bit funny about that. You got Benji in the side, who is a very capable goal kicker on his day, but not to use him.
No, it's very unusual. But Bennett's choice, not ours.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's completely true, I should say.
Yep.
Now, moving on to Sunday, the team that will be playing in the finals this year, the Gold Coast Titans, enter the top 8 off an emphatic 8-try haul, 44 points to 0 over the New Zealand Warriors, if you can even call them New Zealand at this point.
Like I said, I'm going to call them again, East Coast Warriors. They've been on the East Coast for God knows how long. But look,
that's actually not a bad name, East Coast Warriors.
Would have been on the Central Coast since they've come out here, and then they've been up in the Sunshine or in Queensland and that as well, which is also on the East Coast. So yeah, East Coast Warriors.
That's actually a good name for them, East Coast Warriors.
Yeah.
Makes it sound like another bloody Aussie side.
It does. But the Titans would have been watching both the Sharks and Raiders games coming into this one, and all they had to do was win.
2 tries. 2 tries is all they needed, and they would have been in the top 8.
And what did they win by? 44. So they absolutely
dominated.
And they're 4 and against at the end of the season. -3. So they're almost in the positive.
They almost broke even in the positive for and against. And so Fogarty nails 2 goals.
Yeah.
They're practically a positive 3.
Yeah, if Fogarty got those 2 goals, but yes.
So what went wrong for the Warriors? What could you pinpoint as something that went wrong for them that led to this onslaught?
Around about the 64th, 65th minute of the match, I can say. Probably earlier than that. But definitely what happened on the 64th or 65th minute of the match was absolutely nuts. I had never seen anything like it before. First off, you had a bit of a...
What, since last Friday?
Well, yeah. But you had a couple push and shoves here. Joseph Bogan got sent in the bin, sure. Go downfield later, Warriors give away a penalty, and it was...
1 minute later.
Yeah, and it went all hell for leather. There was attempted punches thrown from Kane Evans that ended up putting him in the bin. And then Matt Lodge got involved, and he also got sent in the bin. So there's 3 Warriors players going in the sin bin at the same time, which I had never seen happen before. And then yet Jared Ross also got put in their bin for that Titans in the same melee in the 65th minute. I had never seen that happen before.
So at one point, it was practically 12 on 10.
Yes, it
It's
was.
crazy.
Until 5 minutes to go, it was 12 on 10.
I gotta say, I'm gonna cheat again here because I only pick out one player from the winning side. Well, recently, for the longest time this year, it has been one player from the winning side. We used to do from both sides, but then I just figured, oh, why do you want to hear the standout player in the side that lost anyway?
Well, especially with the Warriors, you couldn't really pick a standout player.
But the two players that I have singled out, because this is my show and I get to say what goes. But first, I want to say Jaden Campbell, because he is coming in with no AJ Brimson, who would have been there for the Gold Coast. 2 tries, 1 try assist, 255 running meters, and 6 tackle breaks. Within the run of game time he has had and the performances he's put on, especially including against the Melbourne Storm in a losing side. I would have said he would have been the best player for the Titans in a losing side against Melbourne.
Yes, completely.
And then, of course, the multi-million-dollar man, David Fafita, coming off the bench. 2 tries, 76 run meters, 2 tackle breaks, and 1 offload. Between them, 4 tries, 1 try assist, almost 300 meters, and 8 tackle breaks.
I cannot argue with that right there. They both had a brilliant game. And Jaden Campbell, he has burst onto the scene quite quickly.
There is actually a bit of a sweet irony that's going to go on here, because they say, because Josh Morris is going to retire at the end of this year, he made his debut against Preston Campbell all the way back in the earlier 2000s. Was it about 2007 he burst onto the scene?
I think so, yes.
And now, mid-30s, last finals campaign, and he's going to come up against Jaden Campbell. How often does that happen?
Once in 100 or so years. It's been a long time since something like that's happened.
It definitely has been.
I can't even remember the last time that's happened. It has to be a bloody long time ago.
It would have to have been a Herculean effort to be a player to have played that long. With the way the game has evolved in 15 years, to be playing against one bloke, so let's say Josh Morris against Preston Campbell, and then to play against Jaden Campbell so many years on, and it's just like, God, am I really that old?
Yeah.
Have I really been around the game for this amount of time?
Yeah. But look, it could be Josh Morris's finals game. Like, I hope it isn't. But it could be.
I mean, we know the Roosters aren't going to win the premiership, but still.
No.
We don't want to see Josh Morris bow out in unceremonious circumstances.
Yes. But he could potentially... Well, I'm not going to say potentially. What could happen is he could retire against a Campbell, Jaden, and then start his career against Preston Campbell. So it could end against a Campbell that way it started. But I hope, for the love of God, that doesn't happen.
No.
But it would be ironic, though.
It would be ironic, though. It would be. But let's hope it's not that way.
Well, no, let's hope not.
And finally, from the last 2 teams of the season, the Wooden Spooners, the worst side in 93 years of Australian Rugby League history, the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs of 2021, end their season with a 38-0 annihilation of the West Tigers.
I think the Tigers deserve to spoon more than the bloody Dogs. That's all I can say.
Oh my God.
The Tigers, I can't believe, early in the match, around about 6-minute mark, the Tigers had 2-6 against on the Bulldogs try line and failed to score a try. Then a couple minutes later, the Bulldogs go down and score their first through Nick Meaney.
Who's leaving the club because...
So how can the Tigers not score when they had 2 set restarts right on the Bulldogs try line? Like, seriously.
I mean, Carl Flanagan gets dropped again because why not at this point? It's just, that's a meme that Carl Flanagan just gets dropped for the dogs. But Jake Avarillo comes in and is just like, hey, you know what? I'm going to put on a clinic here. And put on a clinic he did.
Yeah, he certainly did. It's the Dogs' biggest,
Win of the season.
biggest win
Since
of the
round
season.
24, 2018, that is our biggest win of the season.
Not only that, it's the most points you have scored all season long for 2021. The previous highest being 28.
Yeah, in a competitive game against South Sydney. That didn't go well, but I'm pretty sure...
And also the 28... Well, when you guys scored 28 points against the Dragons on the Queen's birthday weekend, remember, as well.
Yeah, that did happen as well.
But on average, your points have been around about 18 to... Well, you scored a lot of 18s, but 18 to 20 was...
Well, we're still the worst attacking side at the moment. We only scored 340 points, which was...
less than Ruben Garrick.
Actually, it was just slightly more than Ruben Garrick. He bagged 302.
Slightly, okay.
Yeah, I've seen all the memes about our attack and the fact that Tom Trbojevic and Ruben Garrick on their own have scored more than an entire football side.
Sorry, Joseph Sabin as well.
I've seen them.
Yeah.
But things are looking up for us, especially after this game. I gotta say, Jack Hetherington, I think many eyebrows would have been raised when he was named to start in the second row in the reshuffled side. But you know what? It actually worked out.
Well, he scored a try from it, so
right.
It did work out well.
At the start of the second half, 139 running meters and 4 tackle breaks. With Pangai Jr. coming, could we get the best out of both of these guys and keep them out of dining out with the judiciary?
I was going to say, you need to make sure that discipline is a lot better than what it has been for the pair of them.
If we put Pangai Jr. in the front row and Hetherington in the second row, couple that with Thompson, Siamana Fanai, and a couple of other blokes, including Josh Jackson around them, you've got the nucleus of a good-looking side there.
Well, you certainly do. I did give credit to the Dogs for letting Will Hopoate kick the last conversion.
It was the worst conversion of the year.
But he still got it, though.
Only just.
Just, yes. But also, the scoreline could have been in the 40s had Nick Meaney got more conversions.
Yeah.
He only got 4 from 7 attempts from him because Hopoate got 1 from 1. So, yeah.
But it's a good way for Canterbury to end what really has been a torrent year for them.
It certainly has been. And look, it sucks
that they got the questions are just going to start getting intensified at the moment.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to give you a little present next time I see you. But
oh God, that doesn't. You probably wouldn't want to say that on air because people can take things out of content faster than breathing.
I'm going to say a wooden spoon. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to give you a wooden spoon next time we can see each other.
Just don't say that. Even this is a rugby league podcast, and I would imagine all of the people knowing what that means. Just don't say that anywhere else because that just sounds wrong.
Okay. I'll just shut up for the rest of this podcast.
Yes.
How about that?
Yes, I'll mute you if I could. I mean, I can, but I'm not going to.
Okay, folks, enjoy the rest of the podcast with just Connor Marcellus.
No, you're still here. But do it again, you'll be fine.
Okay.
Now, enough of that chit-chat. The finals are here, and we have got some mouth-watering clashes to take a look through and to see who will be on their road to Suncorp Stadium. And we start off that road on Friday night on the Sunshine Coast between the Melbourne Storm and the Manly Sea Eagles. Well, Manly, they haven't made any changes. Only Josh Aloier, I should say, is back in the lineup. So Toa Sipley drops back to the reserves and Curtis Sirenen also added to the reserves. But other than Aloier coming back in, no other changes for the Manly Sea Eagles after that win over the Cowboys.
Okay, well this game has already been officially sold out. So that tells you how much this is. Cameron Munster has been named, but we're still not quite sure if he's actually going to play or not with his ongoing knee.
It's mind games. They're trying to use the Jedi mind trick over us.
You got Nico Hines. Obviously, he's in jersey 17, but could come in to replace Munster if he's a late withdrawal. You got George Jennings, who needs to get a final clearance to rejoin at centre, with to rejoin Remy Smith in the centres. Josh Adokar will not play for a second game straight, so he is out. You've got Christian Welch, Jesse Bromwich, Felice Kafusi, Ken Bromwich, Remy Smith, as already mentioned. Who else? Tom Eisenhuth, and a lot of this. Basically, all the stars that they didn't play last week are back, besides Adokar.
Yeah.
If I should have said that straight away, that would have been a lot easier.
Yeah. I'm docking your pages for that stuff.
Okay.
What am I talking about? We don't get paid for this. Not yet.
Well, no, not yet.
But apart from that, this is going to be a mouth-watering clash right here.
Oh,
Melbourne
yeah.
against Manly. And, I mean, the last time they met, I actually don't think they've met in the finals for some time, have they?
No, I think it's been a long time. I think it might have been in the early 10s.
2012 preliminary final, I think, would have been the last time they actually met.
Oh.
Manly defending premiers. Canterbury had already advanced to the grand final against Souths, and Melbourne were there as well. So, yeah, I think Storm...
Or was it 2011?
2012, yeah, that last time.
Yeah.
But this is a nice qualifying final.
Yeah, no, look. It's going to be a blockbuster match, and what a way. This one is so hard to predict, it is not funny.
Well, I think there are going to be a lot of questions about Cameron Munster. I already said it. It's mind games from the Melbourne Storm. I mean, they're trying to sucker Manly into believing that the Storm are walking into this game wounded, and then all of a sudden Munster turns it on and they just absolutely obliterate them.
Although, Munster's even said in an interview he's 50-50, and if he cuts his knee again, it could be a lot worse off. So, you never know. He probably might have got told to say that to the media, but we just never know.
Other than that, I think the Storm are lacking. Well, they're going to miss Adokar coming out of their own end, deep out of their own end, and I should say. I mean, Isaac Lumi and George Jennings have not played many games between them, nor have they outscored or outrun Adokar to the same outputs. That's going to be a lot of pressure. If Manly can nail Melbourne to the corners, they can really muscle up in defence down that end of the field. But the kicking game of Foran, Cherry Evans and Josh Schuster has to be on.
It certainly has to be.
And to try and contain Tom Trbojevic, it's that sweep play between Jake and DCE. If you're watching them sweep, you got to know that Tom Trbojevic will be the third man in the chain, ready to sweep around. So you've got to be ready to counter that. And of course, middle defence has to be solid, because if you let him slip out, he's going to tear you up.
Yeah. Well, like you said with the kicking games of Foran, Cherry Evans and Schuster, Foran and Cherry Evans have been there in the finals before. They know what they have to do in the likes, whereas Schuster hasn't. But if Munster plays, he's a big game player. We know what he can do when it comes to big games.
We definitely know.
So it really have to come down, I believe, to the experience of Foran and Cherry Evans.
Oh, really?
They've been in the finals multiple times and together as well before.
Well,
but
they remember, this is the first time in 6 years, or 7 years, I should say. No, 6 years that they've played together. So the fact that they've been able to click with Tommy Turbo coming in at the back.
True.
And putting in their best foot forward. I do hear you about the experience of Ford and Cherry Evans as a game-winning halves combination, but
And you also have to look at it this way too. Melbourne, this is the first time they've got no Smith, Slater, or Cronk into a finals match.
doesn't make an iota of difference whatsoever. Don't focus on the legends they've lost.
Oh, no.
It's a matter of focusing on the players that are going to be running you ragged, that are on the field and in the side. So that would be Pappenhausen, the Cheese, and Harry Grant.
Yeah.
As well as Jerome Hughes, one of the most improved players over the last 2 years.
Well, yes. But this will be another test of Melbourne to see how well they go without those legends. But they've won the minor premiership. They've broken a heap of records this season without them. So we know they can do it.
Yeah, I got to give the Melbourne Storm the edge. I think they come home 1-12. I don't think it will be a blowout scoreline in favour of either one of these two sides. I think this will be a good old-fashioned beat 'em up, Battle of Brookvale, Mark II, Mayhem in Melbourne, dust up.
Yeah. I'm going to go the opposite way. I reckon the Seagulls are going to upset Melbourne in week 1 of the finals and go straight to week 3. It's going to be in a 1-12 margin. It's going to come down to field goal territory. And I reckon it's not even going to extra time before Golden Point, because finals are different, remember. I'm still going to say Seagulls to win by 4 in extra time.
So you're going to say a try to win it in extra time for Manly?
Yep. Because as the rules state, it's always extra time before Golden Point in finals.
All right, so you're calling for extra time Manly, or I'm just going to say regular time Melbourne. Now, the first of the sudden death finals, also in a doubleheader at the Queensland Country Bank Stadium in Townsville, sees the Sydney Roosters up against the Gold Coast Titans. No changes for one change for the Titans. Kevin Proctor is back in the lineup. So he'll take his spot in the second row with, I believe, Sam McIntyre dropping back. Anthony Don and Greg Marju have been included in the reserves, but with the way Philip Sami and Corey Thompson have been playing, I don't think they're going to get a run in whatsoever.
Probably not. Jared Waerea-Hargreaves is expected to play after missing the last 2 weeks. Ratley is back into the starting side, pushing Isaac Lee and Egan Butcher to the bench. You also got Ben Thomas, Dale Copley, Fletcher Baker, also back on deck with Fletcher Baker being on the interchange bench, and Copley, Thomas on the reserves. And otherwise unchanged.
The interesting thing that Trent Robinson is doing, he's keeping Sam Walker on the interchange, and I would probably think that's more to the form that Hutchinson and Lamb have been in, and just trying to manage Walker's game load.
I'd say so as well. This is where, it was only not that long ago, where the finish that Sam Walker could have put the icing on the cake but decides to run 70 odd metres backwards might have cost him a starting spot.
Yeah, thanks for that. We all know who he ran 90 metres away from.
Yeah, but I'm legit, I'd say that's what it cost him to have in his finals, starting spot for week 1 of the finals.
This is the first time in 5 years that the Titans have made the finals. And the first time that the Roosters have linked into the finals for probably the first time since, well, really since 2010.
Yeah. We all know what happened in 2010, don't we? They went on to the grand final but lost to the mighty Red V. Anyway, they have, like we mentioned, the injuries, and they have linked into these final series. And depending on Eliminator, it's got to be something different for the Roosters. We don't see the Roosters in an elimination final very often.
Since Trent Robinson has taken over, he has not finished any lower than the top 4 for every year, apart from 2016 that he's been at the club. He's either been, like the Roosters in a minor premiership, he's either finished 2nd or he's finished 4th. That's the lowest Trent Robinson has ever finished at the Roosters.
Until now. But this year there have been challenges, yeah, you could say, with injuries and all the likes. The Titans, this is the first time they've made the finals in a long time. I think 6 years?
5.
5 years. My bad. But
2016 they were in.
that's right, they were too. So they've played finals before, but it's been a long time. But we just don't know what's going to happen. Are they going to come out all guns blazing and put on a brilliant performance again like they did against the Warriors, or are they going to come out and collapse under the occasion?
The most experienced campaigners in finals for the Titans, Tyrone Peachy and Kevin Proctor. That's all I can really say. Those are the only two I would think are the most experienced in terms of finals. Or maybe Corey Thompson you could chuck in there as well. But that's it.
Yeah.
That's all they got. I mean, I know they got Tino, who played in the grand final for the Storm, but that was only 1 year. And Dave Fafita did play for the Broncos in 2018 and 19, but they bowed out in the first week. You look at the Roosters, meanwhile, most of the players from the 2 premierships, they're still all there, minus, of course, a couple of key players as they've gone and got themselves injured for the whole season, and not through fault of their own. But it's completely different, the nucleus of the Roosters to that of the Titans. And I think it will heavily come down to finals experience right here. And you've got to lean in favour of the Roosters on this one.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with you there. The Roosters have had plenty of finals experience. There's only very few players that haven't played finals before compared to the Titans. I'm going to have to lean to the Roosters. I'd love to see the Titans do so well this season in finals, but I just don't see it against the Roosters.
Well, I like the Titans under Justin Holbrook. I think he has done a remarkable job since coming into the helm last year. He's turned this club around, but I think he's still got a bit of a way to go with this squad before he can get them up to the level that they, or to something of a top 4 contender, like the standard he had at St. Helens.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with that.
I think the Roosters walk away with this 13 plus. I think this will be another learning curve for the Titans to try and be better heading into next year.
Well, I thought the Titans were going to make the finals this year, like top 8. I can't remember exactly where I said. And they have made it. Come down to the last game, and I thought they were going to make it well and truly in the finals, like top 8. But they haven't. Just pretty much got into the last game. But it's going to come down to the Roosters to win probably. Well, it's going to be 13 plus, but I'm going to say by 16 points.
But it's going to be by 13 plus regardless, and the Roosters will move on to the semi-finals, where they will either play Melbourne or Manly, depending how the results go.
Yes.
When you listen to 2 clowns, this is what you get. Now, the second qualifying final for the second part of the doubleheader sees the Penrith Panthers take on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Morali, Hawkins, Marmazelis, Milne and Moga are all out to the side. Cody Walker and Adam Reynolds also return in the halves, which pushes Benji Marshall back to the bench and Lachlan Ilias to the reserve. On top of that, Dane Gagai is back in the centre, so Tane Mill drops out Damien Cook's back at dummy half, as well as Tom Burgess on the bench. So Mago and Marmazelis, of course, drop out. Jed Cartwright goes back to the reserves alongside Braden Burns, and Alex Johnston starts on the left bank with Cam Murray at lock forward, and Keane Kalamatangi also back on the right edge.
There's been a few changes to the Panthers side with nothing major though. Well, in terms of injury,
really.
Yeah, well, Tyrone May's picked up a knee, has got a knee injury, and Scott Sorensen a wrist injury. Kicker is named but may revert to the bench on game day with Liam Martin coming on the run-on side, as what it has been for the past few weeks. Matt Eisenhuth is amongst the reserves. He's on his way back from rib injury, and that is pretty much a full-strength Panthers side.
It definitely is, and I think this could be a telling final right here.
Well, with no Latrell Mitchell, that could cost South.
I definitely think it will. I mean, I know I predicted at the start of the year, I predicted that the Rabbitohs will win the premiership by beating the Melbourne Storm in the grand final.
Yeah.
Do I see it happening now, though?
Well, I predicted South Sydney to win the minor premiership in the Raiders Melbourne grand final. Well, that's obviously out the window.
Well, it came close. It came close.
It did.
But the Rabbitohs against the Storm and the Panthers, which of course many have argued, and rightly so, that Melbourne and Penrith have been the two best teams all year long. Oh, I mean, come on, they're the top two sides. And how have South done against them? Lost round 1 to Melbourne, got annihilated 50-0 on the reverse fixture. Then they get smashed 56-12 out of Dubbo by the Panthers, and then lose 25-12 against them at Suncorp Stadium again on the reverse fixture.
Yeah, so the record against top two sides is not brilliant.
At the same time, most of the key players for South are also back in this lineup, so it could really swing either way, but I'm not convinced by the Rabbitohs at all.
Well, I'm going to say this way. Cleary, the whole Panthers squad, not only Cleary, but Cleary, these picks would definitely be targeting Blake Taft.
Oh, he's already made that loud and clear. The rookie fullback is going to get bombed to oblivion.
Yeah.
And he's going to get smashed to oblivion as well.
Well, you never know. But, yeah.
Well, with super sub Benji Marshall on the bench, it could still turn a game, but at this stage, I got to say the Panthers run away with this 13+. I think they'll go at the Rabbitohs' weak points. Of course, Blake Taft is one of them. They'll try and force the ball over, be turned over 10 metres out, and I think they'll pick him apart on the edges.
Well, with the experience that Marshall brings, it's just a matter of when Bennett's going to inject him in, because he has had plenty of experience, even in the finals. So that could be a major turning point in the game, I believe. But I hope it doesn't happen. But if a major injury, or if an injury occurs to a key player in Penrith, then that could really change the table as well. Because they didn't rest any players, there's a higher risk. I know it's still a higher risk.
In a high-intensity situation, mind you.
Well, yes. There's a higher risk of getting injured in a game when you haven't rested any of your star players. So, look, I'm going to say South Sydney.
So you're going for 2 upsets in 2 qualifying finals, are you?
Yes, I'm going to say South Sydney. I'm going to say also in extra time. No, yes, extra time. And South Sydney to win by 2 in extra time.
So you think a 2-point field goal from Adam Reynolds will seal the deal for the
Not only a 2-point field goal, or maybe a penalty goal. 2 points all the way.
Okay, so a little bit more divergent thought, but that's always good when and the only diversity you have is diversity of thought. And finally, from Brown Park in Rockhampton, how about this? They missed out on the game earlier in the late part of the season. They got one back last week, and now they've been given a finals game stage between the Parramatta Eels and the Newcastle Knights. Overhaul, as have some sides gone through. Chris Randall, Basami Solo, Stafford Toa, and Tex Hoy are all out of the side. Hymel Hunt is back on the wing in place of Stafford Toa. The Savisi brothers and Jaden Brayley are both back, so the starting front row is in place. Titan Brazil also back in the lineup alongside Mitch Barnett. David Clemmer and Suaso Su on the bench for Adam O'Brien side, with Crossland and Momo Azia, Simi Sasagi, I think, and Jack Johns all bumped back to the reserves.
All I'm going to say for Parramatta is to out us Hayes Perham, Joey Lustig, Keegan Hicgrove, Kai Rodell, Michael Oldfield, Sam Loizol, and Sean Russell, with the ins Clint Gutherson, Dylan Brown, Isaiah Papali'i, Junior Paulo, Marita Newcore, Mitch Moses, Nathan Brown, Ricky Campbell, Gillian, Ryan Madison, and Walker Blake. That's all I'm saying, because that's the biggest ins.
Well, the blow for Parramatta is that they've lost Joey Lussick to a calf strain, and outside Reed Marnie, he was probably the most experienced dummy half option they could run with.
Yeah,
And I don't think Nathaniel Roach is in the bubble either, so
no, he's not.
big pressure for Brad Arthur to name Ray Stone in at dummy half.
It certainly is. It's a bit of a risk there, but we have to wait and see if that pays off or not.
But the good news is they get Regan Campbell-Gillard back, so they got a bit more grunt up for, or to compensate for Junior Paulo.
They certainly do. It sucks that Paulo's out because Junior Paulo is in, so he's going to be a big major player. The size of him, and if you get Junior Paulo cranky, he's going to absolutely fire.
I definitely think the Eels will fire in this final. I think it's going to be a smart move bringing Papali'i off the bench, because I think if you put him on the edge or put him on in the middle, or for Nathan Brown, I think winding him up and letting him loose, that could definitely cause some headaches for the Knights' defence.
It certainly could, and I think it's the first time Papali'i's been off the bench all year.
Which is remarkable.
Yes. As we mentioned before, signing of the year, it's paid off for him. He gets a bit of a break to start off the week 1 of finals. Coming off the bench.
I'm looking at Newcastle and I'm thinking they needed that win against the Broncos simply for confidence. I mean, I know what you're going to say, oh, but Parramatta lost as well. Well, yeah, they did, but they didn't have any of their big guns in. They got all the big guns in, and they're going to be feeling fresh as the daisy coming into this game.
They certainly do. Although Clayman is still not 100% from his injury, and I think one of Safi's is still not right for the injury, from the injury, but yeah, they could be well fit and firing and could be playing mind games. You never know.
Yeah, it could be more of the Jedi mind trick that they're trying to use.
Yeah, more than likely. Look, I'd like to see Newcastle go well in the finals. Considering they locked down 7th, but they kind of in a way scraped in as well. For Parramatta, they have been going off.
Parramatta have been close to the Storm and the Panthers all year, and of course the Eels being being the only side to have beaten the Melbourne Storm twice in a single year.
That's true, but the form
no other side has done that. So, and Mr. Luke on YT, he also made this point as well. If you know who he is, you know who I'm talking about, but check out his channel because he does this probably a lot better than what we're doing at the moment. He made the point as well that the Eels can mix it with the big dogs, but at the same time, you look at the tiers of like the best sides to the worst sides. The Eels aren't one of those worst sides, but they're not exactly a up-tier side like the Storm or the Panthers. They're just on that cut-off point between Penrith and themselves, really.
They are, but the form as of late for the Eels hasn't been as flash. Knights have won a better run, like you said. They needed to win against Brisbane to carry that momentum through. But
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, who knows?
As for the Knights, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Kalen Ponga and Mitchell Pearce, both to perform. Because this will be the second time that they've played in the final series and they have not stood to deliver.
No, they didn't last year either. But with Jake Clifford coming in and Ray Heath playing this year, he will take a lot of pressure off Pearce, I believe.
I think the ruck will be a bit more competitive because of Ray Stone being in a dummy half, and he's not Reed Marnie with a kicking game, and he's not Joey Lussick with the silky hands when he's been on his day. But I think where this will be won and lost, I think it will come down to the back line and the experience that the Eels have over the Knights in this situation. True, the Eels haven't had much finals experience, but in context to Newcastle's squad overall, they have had much more finals experience.
No doubt about that. I can't argue with that one right there.
I think this will be another real tight competition like the Storm and the Seagulls, not to the highest standards like them, but I still think it will be competitive nevertheless. But for personal Easons, I gotta say the Eels win 1-12. I think they will go on to the semi-finals, and Newcastle will be left to rule yet another early exit.
Look, I'm going to say Parramatta 1-12 also, and win by 10 points. It's just the Eels will have probably the better side and the more finals experience what Newcastle have had.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the way. Our take on what the finals do look like. All
Certainly
right, well,
is.
that's your NRL Round 25 NRL Finals Week 1 debrief for today. But don't go anywhere. Coming up tomorrow, we'll discuss everything that went down with the Betfred Super League and the sad news involving the London Broncos and the race for the top 6 that is still wide open. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Catch you.